What's going on, everybody? Daniel here again, and we're back with yet another video. Today we're going to be talking about Luts, more specifically Luts created by fellow Canadian Peter McKinnon. Mr. McKinnon recently put out a pack of, I believe, 7 Luts, each with their own unique look, so you have a lot of variety to work with, and we're going to be taking them one by one. That way we can get a feel for how clips react to these Luts and if they're worth purchasing or not. That being said, things like what camera you use, your exposure, your white balance, the time of day, what picture profile you shot in, all of these things really affect how a Lut will look on your clip. So typically if you slap a Lut onto your footage, it won't look good right away. You will have to do some tweaking. So with that in mind, we're going to do some tweaking to these Luts and see how good we can get them to look and see how much tweaking they really need, if at all. For those of you who want to purchase Luts but you want to see what they look like first and you are not sure if you should get them, then this video is for you. But let's not waste any time. Let's hop right into Final Cut and check out some Luts. So here we are in the PM Luts folder, and we've got 7 Luts to choose from. Let's go through them one by one. Starting off with the first one, we have Arctic Circle. So this Lut is actually really interesting. What it appears to be doing is somewhat desaturating the highlights, but then maintaining saturation in the midtones and shadows. At least that's what it looks like on this clip, but let's do a little bit of tweaking and see if we can get this looking nice. So the first thing I'm noticing is that it looks slightly overexposed, so I'm just gonna pull the gain down a little bit. I'm gonna lower the shadows as well, and then I'm gonna bump up the midtones slightly. Our clip looks like it's exposed a little bit better now, so let's just bring in some saturation, and I think we've got a pretty cool looking clip. This next Lut is called Black Eye. This one's an interesting one. I'm actually a big fan of it. Obviously, I wouldn't want to use this on a shot like this with food. It doesn't make it look too appetizing, but the color correction itself is actually very cool. So pretty much you have shadows that are taken right down to complete black. And in the highlights, we have a slight orange tone to it. It almost looks like there's the slightest little bit of an orange color cast, and it actually creates for this really cool look. You're almost getting that vibe you would get from a sepia, but obviously not that drastic and a little more cinematic looking. Alright, next up we have Clean and Tidy. Now this one is the most neutral of the bunch. I'm a big fan of it, and basically this is just maintaining that sort of flat image. We're not losing too much detail in the highlights or the shadows. Maybe the highlights are pushed up a little bit, we're clipping a little bit here and in here, but for the most part this Lut is exactly what it's called, which is clean and tidy. The only adjustments I would maybe make is to add a little bit of saturation and maybe bring down those midtones just a bit. You also have the option to go into curves and maybe add a little bit of a fade to it. And I think that's a really nice looking clip. I'm actually a big fan of this Lut. Next up, we've got Fade Out. This Lut is really hitting on that trendy look these days that people are going for. I think it stemmed from Tumblr when all of the photos you'd see on there were really faded. Personally, I find this look very overused these days, but I understand why people like it. It creates a bit of a cinematic feel. I just think discretion needs to be used when going for this look, and I believe this Lut does a good job of that. So you have that faded look, but it's not so faded to the point that you can't even see what's going on. Just for comparison's sake, I'll show you the Deluxe Armchair Lut, and you can see the difference. This is also a faded sort of Lut, and we can see that it's really blown out and we're actually losing a lot of detail. Back to Peter McKinnon's Lut, we actually have a lot more detail to work with, so if we want, we can bump up that exposure, we can bring down those midtones, we can add some saturation, and we can get a really nice looking clip. Next up, we've got the Kodak Killer. I am a huge fan of this Lut. So kind of like the Black Eye Lut, we have that orangish color cast to it, but this time we're not crushing the shadows. The only thing I would do with this look is maybe move the blues more to a teal, add some saturation back into the blues, just to give it more dimension and depth. But again, a great looking Lut. I am really a fan of this one. Next up, we've got Noir. Now, if you like the film noir look, this is a really nice Lut. I actually like how this exposes the clip. I would maybe bring down the highlights just a touch. I think that's really nice looking. The only thing is I don't like to use black and white in my videos. Personally, I feel that if you remove color from a video, you're actually taking away from the story. However, this is actually a great looking Lut. I just like the way that the shadows aren't taken down completely, and you can still see all of the detail. The last Lut in the pack is called that Teal and Orange though. Now this Lut I probably wouldn't use on this clip. I think this is designed more for outdoorsy shots with trees and maybe in an urban environment. So the only thing I would maybe do to this clip is add a little bit of red into the midtones. This just adds a little more depth to the shot and doesn't make it look as bleak. So should you buy Peter McKinnon's LUT pack? What I like so much about these LUTs that Peter really did a good job with is that after you apply them, you can still go in and edit the clips and tweak them to look how you want. So many times I end up downloading LUTs that make your clips too far gone and you can't even save them once the LUT is applied. But with all of these, they're fairly neutral, so you can really play around with them and get a really cool look, which really saves you a lot of time if you had to grade clips from scratch. So yes, I do recommend getting this LUT pack. If you have $15 lying around, you might as well. I find that the more LUTs you have, the more options you have for creatively color grading your footage. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit it with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below of what videos you guys would like to see in the future. I would love to hear some of your ideas. But that's it for today, guys, and until next time, peace!